here on the track painting. This is one area that I got to. This is the end of the Wallace pit track. I added some wheel stops there and been working on the rails. I don't know if this will show up, but I also added in a detail. If you see the little rail joints there, the joint bars, I added those just along the pit track because I looked at the rest of the layout and said, oh, there's no way I'm doing this. Kind of tedious, but wanted to have them in there as a detail for this track. Just to kind of see what they look like. Hard to see, and even harder to film. I can't really see them without my glasses on and whatnot, and Steve came down, didn't even notice them. But they're there. Let's see if I can get a view from above here and see what this track looks like. What I did on this track was I actually came back and did some highlighting of the ties. A couple different coats of, or different applications, I should say, with the airbrush. Just try to make it look a little more beat up and weather beaten and kind of faded gray to actually used kind of an off-white color a little bit. So I think it looks alright. I think it definitely needs to have the ballast and everything else put into it, but I wanted to get this one done, and I did do some more of the joint bars there. You can see that one there and one across there, and I think I did a couple coming off the turnout. The turnouts really could use a lot of detail work. They really need a lot of stuff, which I have. I just don't know if I feel like doing it. But on the frogs and the guardrails and the points especially, these things look nothing like the prototype. Work fine, and there's not detailed very well. And I'm not too worried about it, to be honest. Maybe we'll get to that at some point in time. But I did do a lot of painting here on the layout. All the track is pretty much painted now. And there's the branch line. Try to make it a little bit lighter on the main line. I came around the main line and did a little bit of touch up with some other applications to add some different tones and variations to it. And I think it looks okay. Maybe not perfect, but for now it looks good enough, and I think it'll look much better when we get the ballast in and whatnot. Let's go just take a quick look at the yard and see what that looks like. So the yard's all been painted. I did come in again and try to dry brush certain areas and actually spilled a little paint there, but just kind of worked it into the track. And some other areas you can see I try to make some different tones and just a different look to the track as opposed to being all the same monotone, which really looked kind of bad. That track's got pretty boogered up back there. I don't know, maybe something spilled out of a covered hopper or something like that. But and again, I think really needs the ballast to tie it all together. But did go through and do the entire yard, so that's all painted, and also painted all of the factory track, so that's now all painted. And again, try to make it look a little slightly different color from the main line. I tried to add a little bit of different tones to it here and there, and back on the main line, even in certain spots. Went back and tried to add some newer ties here and there. And also went back, and then here you can see, I didn't like, this was all flat. And really I didn't like the way it looked. In fact, if I could do this layout over again, I would have raised the main line like I did back through Wallace. Put it on another piece of cork above this, so it's up higher to give you that different elevation from the siding. I even would have done that through the yard for the main line. But what I did do is come back here carefully with a blade and cut out the grooves there. So at least now through here, I'll be able to have that intersection with the ballast, and then a little bit of a separation from the yard track, as opposed to just all being flat. I could reasonably do that. I'm certainly not going to rip out track and go back and add and elevate it, which I would like to do. But you can see in through here, I tried to make this look kind of beaten and worn in different places and different shades and whatnot to the track. Now a lot of this here in the factory will probably be covered as is part of the pavement, but I still wanted to get, so I had the airbrush out, just went out and did it, got it all painted. So that's mostly what was done. See that? That is the main line. You can see right there is a spot where some new ties are. I think they need to do more of that. It just gets a little tedious, so I had to do it in small bursts. And then got the main line painted up and around. And then, like I said, all up in here, got the diesel facility. That's all painted. And this will definitely need some more work. I've been looking at some videos and photographs of the Selkirk engine facility just to kind of see, because there's a bridge there, I guess, where guys can get pretty good pictures. So I want to get some good views of the track, because it looks a lot different from above than it does when you're down on ground level. So, and kind of weather that up, and then I'm sure once we get it in there and have the earth, we'll get some, oil and dirt and grime and the sand that seems to be around those facilities quite a bit. And then the main line here, again, it kind of, pardon my shadow, got it painted up, touch up the concrete a little bit. But again, the one thing I really would have liked to have done, for the main line is have it elevated, have it just on another set of cork, just to give it some elevation. But I didn't do that, so it's all kind of look. I don't know. I think it'll look okay. But I would have preferred to have the main line up higher, and then come down a little bit to the yard to give you that visual separation. But it is what it is for now, so we're kind of gonna go with it. So all the tracks pretty much painted. I probably want to do some more detailing here and there as time allows and as I feel like it. But this is not bad. It's all at least painted, and I think, again, once you get the ballast on and the earth or whatever you're going to have around your track, it'll probably look better. I did kind of grunge up this track here. Again, like I said, this was the old lead into the old coal storage facility. That now is just going to be it's actually our programming track, but it'll be a set-off track for, I don't know, for some work equipment or just a place to park an engine if you got things going on. But I did want to try to make the track look a little bit more realistic, so I kind of went in and, I don't know how well this will show in the video, but did go in and weather it up by hand. I dry brushed a lot of that on. And like I said, there's the interlockings, and saying they're relatively new, so they're a little bit darker. I didn't paint those two tracks. I'm not sure I'm going to leave them there yet. Still not totally sure what I want to do with this area here, the 4 tracks there on the right. Originally there was going to be more storage, but I might want to put some kind of big industry there. I don't know what kind. I don't know. I was thinking, maybe an oil facility, or perhaps a steel mini mill, or something, where, since I have the space and I need to build up on the backdrop anyway, so I could put a pretty good sized industry there at this end. So not sure, but and maybe still leave some tracks for storage, but I don't know if I want to have them that long. So for now, I just didn't paint these 2 pieces of track, because don't know if I'm going to keep them there or not. But it's not hard to fire up the airbrush and get that out and painted. So that's pretty much what we've got. All this stuff was taken out of the yard and stored, so I had to haul some trains out and store stuff around the layout here. But that's mostly what was done, and still got some more to do. Like I said, I'm kind of doing this by hand, a little bit of, especially on the industrial tracks. I'm going to go in and probably dry brush some highlights onto the branch line track, and I've already done the other 2. I don't know if they'll show up. We'll take a quick look at the other spurs. Alright, so I just finished doing a little bit of dry brushing here. I don't know this is going to show up as well under these lighting conditions, and it might look a little more extreme than it actually looks here on the layout, but I went back and dry brushed a lot of it, and I'll show you the colors I'm using, because I think it gives you a good kind of a look of the original creosote, and then kind of wearing away a little bit. The branch line tracks are just kind of coated to make it look kind of aged and faded. But again, I don't know how well this will show up. I probably don't have the right equipment to really show it in real detail. But I can certainly see it's got kind of the scratches, or looks like the original creosote's kind of worn away a little bit here on the main line. I did the crossovers and touched up a little bit with actually some faded white color. So again, I don't know how well it's going to show up, but that's what I'm doing. It takes a lot of time, so I don't know how much more I'm going to do. And the colors that I'm finding that I use quite a bit. This here, where'd it go? There it is. That's a Vallejo Model Air, and it's actually the camouflaged gray brown 71.042. I like this color. It's kind of like almost like a grimy black, where a grimy black is more of a black gray. This is more of a black brown. So it kind of looks good for, I'm using this for new, freshly creosoted ties. And then it also adds some good highlights when you're going over stuff. For the white, so again, I'm using a Model Air. And this is aged white. 71132. It's not white, it's kind of an off white. Again, probably won't show up too well here on the recorder, but kind of gives you a good faded type color. Then also I'm using this skeleton bone, ooh, scary, which is more of a even more faded white, kind of a brownish gray color. So I kind of use this for some highlights as well, going over the different track and whatnot. So that's what we're using here, and again, I think it's going to take until we get the ballast down. But trying to get a little bit of work here and trying to get this ready and make it look realistic. It certainly looks better than when it was just the unpainted brown ties. So we're getting there, making progress. One of the questions that was asked, pretty good question, does the CMRI require any changes to your engines, your locomotives, and basically because of the DCC, and no, they don't, because right now the computer's off. I'm moving this train up to get them off the tracks, and the computer's off, but everything still runs. The DCC power is on, and I'm going to move him up out of the way, but you can see what does happen. There's one of those funky indications you get from the signals, because in this case that would mean all the outputs are grounded because every single LED is on. So, some come on, some are off, some are partially on. You just don't know what you're going to get. Because over here on this signal, they're all off. But the nice thing about it is the CMRI is totally independent of the DCC. So you can run trains with a computer on or off. Doesn't matter, but if the computer's off, you will get some interesting signal indications, which I'm not sure what the rule book would say about them. And there's another one. It just seems, on that case again, all the outputs are grounded, so every LED is on. So just answer that real quickly. Good question. And the nice thing about it, like I said, the CMRI is totally independent from the DCC system. Okay, also had a question on the boosters, so I figured it'd be easier just to do a quick little segment here and just show how we did this. Pretty simple. Command station. Out of the command station, we'll go to the wireless receiver, and then there's a simple cable that goes over to booster 1. That gets wired to booster 2, and that gets wired to booster 3. What we decided to do was for booster 1, that gets the area, basically include the diesel storage area, and then the layout over to the removable section. Booster 2 powers the entire, basically the class yard, intermodal yard, and all that area. And then booster 3 powers the other side, which we call the east side of the layout. Get over through Wallace Junction and up through the pull-out section. So basically, booster 1 powers the engine, like I said, the engine locomotive storage facility. Back here, it's gapped up here, and then it powers as well. So that all the way around here through Pittsfield, the transformer factory, and it powers up and around. You can see I moved the trains out of the way, do more painting, up to the removal section right about there. Then booster 2 gets the yard area, which is basically from about this signal here up through all the yard, storage yard, intermodal yard, up to the signal there at the far end, and not the engine storage area, the locomotive area. That's all booster number 2. Then booster 3, that starts down there, roughly here at this signal, and it gets around the peninsula, Wallace Junction, the branch line, back to the workshop, up around the peninsula, and then over again to the pull-out section there. Now the gaps between the boosters are just double insulated gaps. These are, I won't use these are the Atlas clear ones, but either double gaps that I cut, or if I use the micro-engineering coated A3 insulated joiners, they're just double gaps between each booster section, and that's pretty much it. From the command station, the cable comes out. This goes to the wireless receiver. This goes to the first booster. And this will probably be really hard to see, but it comes over to booster 1 here. And then booster 1 just goes over to booster 2 here, and then booster 3 is back over there. The outputs of the boosters are just the track bus, and in our case we brought them all over in here through 3 RR ramp meters, and then they go back out to the respective areas in the layout. So it comes out of the command station to the boosters, comes back through each of those power meters, and then out to the respective portion of the other layout. You can see we called it mainline west, Eugene, mainline east. So that's pretty much it. That's how we did the boosters. Now the question you might ask is do I really need 3 boosters for this? Probably not. You know, you saw the layout. It really isn't. I mean, it's a good sized layout, but it's not huge. But I figured, you know, what the heck. I mean, I had 2 boosters for the old layout. Bought 1 additional one since we are going to go with the block detection and, you know, its current sensing. So eventually every piece of rolling stock will at least have at least 1, if not 2, you know, resistance wheel sets in it. And that's going to add a little bit of current draw. So I figured, you know, whatever. I'll just go ahead and break it into 3. Probably wouldn't really have to. Probably could have done it with 2. Especially since I have these all selectable so they can be turned off. So when you turn the layout on, it doesn't draw all the power for all the motive power sitting there. But we decided to go with 3. Probably overkill, but that way we have plenty of amperage capability here on the layout. You know, most of it probably being in here. You've got, you know, a couple switches working, intermodal switcher working, some trains running through the yard and everything. So that's probably the biggest draw. The rest of it will just be whatever train is running. And again, all the resistance wheel sets that you might get. So that's what we decided to do. Probably overkill, but this way we're set. And if we ever want to expand or ever have 55 people over to run trains, we hopefully would be okay. I don't think they fit in the basement, but be kind of like a clown car. How many people can you jam into the layout room? So, but that's what we did. So that's how we hooked it up and broke it into power districts with 3 boosters to spread the load around. All right, another thing I did here, this is going to show up okay, but what I'm saying here is you see the track there on the right. It's got some darker ties, so I'm saying that we're having, you know, the gang's been out working on that track, and the other track has not yet been worked, so it's looking a little more scraggly. Again, I don't know if it's going to be able to show kind of what the ties look on this track, a little more beat up, where now the left-hand track has been worked on, replacement ties put in. I'm going to say they're working between 97 and Pittsfield, and they've gotten so far. And so on the left-hand side there, we'll have stacks of old ties waiting to be picked up, and on the outside track there we can have stacks of new ties waiting to go in. So I did some dry brushing to weather the ties there on the outside track. Got it pretty much here up to this switch, which I'm going to say that's where they're done because I'm tired of doing it. And then actually did hand paint the rails too. If you can tell the siding there, I put a little bit of more of a rusty color on it. Didn't look quite right since the ties were painted mostly lighter color. I came back and hand painted it with actually using these that I had from the old layout. These are by Joe's Model Trains. Different colors. It worked out pretty well. And my good old camo gray brown. Also used that one, but these are pretty nice. He makes a he calls it a rusty rail painter that I tried. That's not the greatest, but the paints are pretty good. So I used those. I don't know if that'll show up there with the light on this my professional lighting, but the far track there was painted with a little bit of a rust, and the other tracks was some of that brown and some of the almost like a grimy black color. I think it looks relatively good. So keep pumping away on that, and I think it's a pretty cool visual effect with the one track looking like it's been repaired, has the new ties on it, and then the other track. I'll put the again on the inside track there, have the ballast look a little bit cleaner, like they came through and reballasted and tamped and everything, and then have the ballast look made just different colors. Again, give it some visual variety so it looks like something's going on here on the railroad. So that's that. I'm not sure I'm going to paint the rest of all these rails, but at least in this one area they were pretty visible. So another thing we're doing here is trying to get the rails and the track all ready for ballast.